Hello, and welcome to Mindful Caregiver Conversations, where we hear from caregivers just like you, share stories of strength, courage, and resilience. I am Donna Ray Jones. Hello, my people. This episode, let's talk about what caregiving looks like. Who is a caregiver? Are you a caregiver? These are the questions for your consideration. Let's unpack the caregiver role, responsibility, and duties. There have been many occasions folks ask for clarification on what do I mean when I say caregiver. And that happens quite often. So just this past week, I was in a company of folks who use the term caregiver with confidence, right? It's part of their everyday lingo. So in the circles and the communities they're in, people have a stronger definition of what it means to be a caregiver. So let's break down what it means to be a caregiver and make it more mainstream. Clients and people I meet daily step forward to tell me their stories. So many people are giving care to their loved ones and they're feeling isolated, inadequate, and despair. At a time when more and more everyday folks are called on to give care, it is critically important that we do all we can to support one another. So in doing research to define who is a caregiver, I ran across the Rosalind Carter Institute for Caregivers. And they share that there's four kinds of people in the world. Folks who have been caregivers, so that's someone who's giving care in the past. Folks who are currently caregivers, that's happening in the present. Folks who will be caregivers, that's looking to the future. And folks who need a caregiver, who will need a caregiver. And so that's in anticipation. Caregivers are vulnerable population in our community, and the health, strength, and resilience of these unpaid family members can be at a high risk. So today's focus is on the unpaid, informal family caregiver. Those individuals who respond to a need for care, with it being a relative, a friend, or a loved one. And if you're like me and you don't self-identify, listen closely, because that was the case for me 20 years ago. So if you provide support such as errands, grocery shopping, prescription management, cooking, cleaning, personal care, companionship, like going on walks, lunch dates, maybe watching a movie together, then you're a caregiver. So pause for a moment. Do any of these tasks in the past, happening now, or you anticipate in the future? Describe some of the activities that you're doing. So just try it on for a moment. You are a caregiver. I will share a story, and maybe it's something you can relate to. So this is something I'm talking to a client about. She's the sole caregiver to her mom, and her mom lives around the corner, and she is there with her multiple times during the day, making her meals, shopping, taking her to doctor's appointments, personal care, laundry, and keeping her active with going on walks and chair exercises. And then her brother and her aunt, like once every couple of months, they come over for a couple of hours for a visit and bring her fast food to eat. Okay, so my client says or has this thought about herself that she's a terrible person and that her brother and her aunt who come over are the people who can do no wrong. And when in reality, she is a person that's actually doing the day-to-day tasks and they're only around occasionally. So she describes a feeling of being nauseous and feeling lonely. So what is the actions? She's doing, quote, all the right things, right? Her physical therapy, her appointments, cooking, nutritionist meals. And then what's the results of this, right? She's resentful. And that it reinforces the thought that I'm a terrible person. So when we think about ourselves as a caregiver, we want to start to kind of pull apart what the circumstance is, how we're feeling, what we're telling ourselves, and how we're feeling about it. Where our attention starts, emotion follows. So maybe I can say it in another way. Attention is what I'm focused on. And in this example, I do for my mom, and then the emotion follows of dread. So I want to suggest to start with an intention. Who do you want to be when you care for your mom? Think of an intention as a guidepost, like a marker, and it will determine your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So there's a 5-step process to feel better. Everything that we talk about here is centering you as a caregiver. So we want to begin to practice including ourselves in our own care. So these are the 5 steps. First, to slow down, maybe even pause and breathe. Feel your body, scan your body and see where there's tension. And then rest your attention on that body part. So maybe when you're feeling nauseous, it's right at the belly. And then you just want to touch into that sensation just around the edges, and maybe just for a minute or so, not too long. And then you want to repeat those first 4 steps until something shifts or you choose to stop. So those 5 steps again are to slow down or pause, right? When we feel ourselves trapped or chasing ourselves, and I'm a terrible person because I do the things with the intention of taking care of my mom, and my brother and my aunt come over and just spend a little bit of time. And so I'm judging myself. Okay, so slow down and breathe. Just taking a few breaths, conscious breaths. And then feel into the body where the tension is. Just around the edges. And then just continue that until you can come back to yourself or until you choose to stop. And this can be just a 3-minute practice. The more you practice, then the more readily the steps will come to you and you can bring yourself back to the present moment. Include yourself in your own care. So try this process. Journal about it, maybe even record a video. I hope this is helpful. Subscribe, like, share, and comment on this video. You are a caregiver. We're in this together, my people. Have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you soon.